All right, so whoa, what an insane last 24 hours for the Milwaukee Bucks. They choose to not re-sign Brook Lopez, who was benched at points in the first round against the eventual Eastern Conference champion Indiana Pacers. He definitely looked a bit washed, to be quite frank. They then ended up re-signing Kevin Porter Jr., and then we woke up to a bombshell of them out of the blue signing Myles Turner to a 4-year, $107 million contract with what money? With the Damian Lillard money, as they go ahead and end up stretching and waiving Damian Lillard in one of the most shocking news I've heard in a good amount of time. They're stretching and waiving the last $113 million of his contract in order to acquire Myles Turner. Dame has 2 years left in his contract. Obviously, this upcoming season he's not going to play because he has a torn Achilles. So he has one guaranteed year left after that. But he is also up there in age, coming off a torn Achilles, and God knows how he will play off that. So it's not the most egregious move. It's just maybe out of left field for Damian Lillard and for Giannis in particular. But from the grand scheme of things, I get it. You obviously have this gaping hole at center, and you needed the money to do that. You gave Myles Turner a good chunk of change. I'm not the biggest Myles Turner guy. I just left a bad taste on my mouth, pause with his finest performance, and just not his ability to not get rebounds consistently. And I don't think his defense is as good as maybe others think it is. I mean, he really is a block merchant. Let's just call a spade, but we're not here to talk about that in particular. We're here to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo apparently not being happy with the Bucks going ahead and waiving Damian Lillard. Now, is this one of those scenarios with the Jrue Holiday thing in which he was like, man, I didn't want to trade Jrue Holiday, when you're like, come on, brother, you're getting Damian Lillard. Like, let's be serious here. And then eventually ended up gelling not a little bit in, but a good amount into the season. People are spamming, man, they got to run that Giannis and Dame pick and roll, like this, that, and the third, and they just consistently just didn't do it to the extent that people thought they would do it. But it was a pretty good duo, very, very lethal scores, and it wasn't perfect by any stretch of imagination, but it wasn't bad. Like, they still struggled as a team. Like, they didn't do what you expected them to do when you heard that initial tweet that Dame was getting traded, but it was a lot of injuries from Giannis, and the rest of the team just wasn't really that good, for being honest here. Middleton ended up fizzling out. A lot of injuries. Man, he's not a bad player, just fizzled out. But apparently Giannis, according to Chris Haynes, is not pleased with them waiving Damian Lillard. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I mean, you needed a center. Dame, who knows how he's going to play off the torn Achilles. I know it sucks, they built a good connection, and they really, really wanted him, and they pried him away from my Heat. Of course they did. And of course the Heat are expected to inquire about his talent in the next whenever he's off the torn Achilles. So, yeah, great. In my opinion, I don't think Giannis is going anywhere. I think he's a Bucks lifer. I don't see him going anywhere, to be quite frank. I think he just wants to be what he is, like one of the greatest players, not the greatest player in Milwaukee Bucks history. I mean, I'm only 22. I haven't watched like Kareem and any other like legends, so I'm just going based off what I've heard and things like that. But he's definitely an all-time great, one of the 25 greatest players of all time. I don't see him leaving the Bucks. I mean, I get it. The guy that made a lot of noise when he was acquired by your team, and now he's just gone. And now Giannis' second option is who? You go from Damian Lillard to Myles Turner. With all due respect, you also have Kyle Kuzma, yikes, Bobby Portis, like Kevin Porter Jr., who we're not going to get into because it was off the court. I'll still stand on that. Yeah. It's not ideal. In the draft history for the Bucks in recent memory, my God, what is that smell? So they also just signed Gary Harris as I'm making this video, so congratulations, brother. But yeah, it's not a lot to look forward to for Giannis, but I just don't see him as a guy to leave Milwaukee, in my humble opinion, even though his second option is not ideal, to say the least. But yeah, a lot of moves going down in Milwaukee. Giannis is apparently not super happy, but let's see what happens in terms of that. The Bucks need to get him a real second option with what money? God knows. So they're re-signing Bobby Portis. Like, what money do you have? They're trying to trade Pat Connaughton, trying to get some elite level role players, I guess. Guess spacing around Giannis, the meta. It's just like, it's tough. It is tough in Milwaukee. Bucks fans, how you guys feel about this? NBA fans, which one of y'all teams do y'all want to sign Damian Lillard? I know as a Heat fan, we're literally foaming at the mouth to get him. Just so desperate. Patrick Riley ruined my mental sanity. Yeah, it's bad. But yeah, Dame is a free agent. Myles Turner is a buck. Gary Harris a buck. Damian Lillard is a free agent again. Holy shit. Yeah. Wow.